celebrate the summer solstice in community.
Join our annual Arts and Wellness Festival to connect, create, and celebrate with the Soultry sisters.
In 2023, we explored what it means to cultivate your sanctuary.
Our 3-day festival highlights BIPOC, women, and queer artists and wellness practitioners based in San Diego.
Each year, we collaborate with featured guest artists to build our festival program, which includes creative expression classes, wellness workshops, and performances.
Day 1 of the festival is all about connection. We begin our festival with a social mixer where attendees enjoy music, dancing, and have an opportunity to meet other attendees, guest artists, and us.
Day 2 of the festival is all about creating. Our arts and wellness workshops give folks an opportunity to explore, embrace, and embody what cultivating your sanctuary means to them.
Day 3 of the festival is all about celebration. There is music, dancing, performances, and an open mic for attendees to share. Without a doubt, we always close with a dance party and teach folks the Soultry strut.
We are grateful for all the memories made each year at our Summer Solstice Arts and Wellness Festival, and we can't wait to see you next year.
In the meantime, remember to keep living vibrant and shining bright. Hello, y'all.
Hey, welcome back to our Soultry Book Club, y'all. Happy New Year. If this was your first time tuning in since we started.
Yes. And if you didn't notice, we have a new trailer. We are celebrating our 5th year anniversary. Our specific anniversary, our not specific, but our actual anniversary is January 20th. And so we thought, what a way to celebrate a 5-year milestone than a new commercial, a new trailer brought to you by Soultry Sisters. Shout out to Noains Media and Lexi Shots. They edited and gathered the footage from our festival last year. So welcome, y'all.
Yes, hello everyone. Yes, I see in the chat already people joining us. Awesome. Hello, welcome. And so if you are new, we'd like to start off by having everyone share in the chat where you're tuning in from and what you're sipping on. So you can go ahead and comment that below. So I am tuning in from the snowy DC area. So there's lots of snow in the East Coast. DC got about around 3 inches the other night, and it's still slowly melting away today. But I think it's supposed to snow in a couple of days again. So yeah, and I am sipping on some Tulsi and mint herbal tea, and I have some honey in it and some Tulsi and rose tincture. So I have that going.
Ooh, nice. I'm tuning in from San Diego, y'all, and I am sipping on something that Tony concocted while she was here, and now I'm addicted. This is an Earl Grey hot chocolate with cinnamon. It's so good. It is nice and hot. It's not as cold here, but this room that I'm in is cold, so this keeps my hands warm.
Yes, and yeah, that Earl Grey hot chocolate is very addicting, and it just feels so fancy when I drink it. I feel like it's having my pinky up. And I just want to shout out to what I'm wearing. So I'm wearing my book earrings by Tiny Tassel, and then I'm just wearing a sweater from Target, but it's their Black History Month collection, you know, when they feature like Black artists.
Yes.
And of course, just different rings and stuff.
Oh yes, we also like to do an outfit check. So I'm wearing earrings from Puerto Rico by an artist called Estillo. That means like uncle. And then I'm wearing my future is famalo on. There's a little saying from lunch, but it means the future is female. And I got my little pins on. And just something fun and funny that happened today. I went to the store when I was coming home, and I was called ma'am. And I'm like taken aback, but I think it's the jacket. I think it's the corporate core that is getting people calling me corporate core, y'all. People calling me ma'am. So I can get used to this. I'm like, have I graduated into auntie? I don't think so. I think it's corporate core that's getting people calling me ma'am.
Okay, vote for Soultry for city council, okay?
Don't wish that upon me. I don't want that.
Oh my gosh. Alright, we have Pauline. Ooh, I love the vibrant colors of your profile picture, Pauline. Yes, we have all the colors here today. So Pauline's tuning in from East San Diego County, sipping on some room temp, ice shaken, hazelnut oat milk espresso latte. Okay,
Okay.
y'all. Okay.
Bring the details. Bring the details.
Okay, so if y'all wanna gift Pauline a drink, you know her exact order right here.
Yeah. Is room temp the choice? Or did you want it more iced? I don't know.
If she's like me, I like room temperature stuff actually,
Yeah.
especially after like doing Ayurveda. But so sometimes I do let my ice stuff get
Um,
more room temperature and then
I'm an
partake.
icy girl. Ice me out, okay? Here, first timer and joining from South Carolina, sipping water at the
Alright.
moment. Yes, stay hydrated.
Okay, cool. Hi, welcome, welcome. We have Kyle tuning in from Wheaton, Maryland, and we'll have some sweet tea soon. Okay, sweet tea loading.
Ooh, yes, we got Bianca tuning in from New York, sipping on some milk
Okay.
tea.
Love that
Mm,
milk tea. Okay,
yes.
can't go wrong with the classic. And then Pauline saying in the chat, definitely not a choice, extra ice, usually. That's okay. That's okay. We do what we can here.
We keep it real. We keep it real. We mix it up. So if you are just tuning in, we are in our first book club series of the year, and we are navigating through the artist way in community with you. If you're just tuning in, you want to learn more, definitely visit our website, sultrysisters.com/book club. Make sure to also follow us on social media because we are posting our daily morning pages, check-ins for accountability, but also to promote our book club. And if you're new to our YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to monetize by the end of this year, y'all. So help us get those follower counts up. Run it up, y'all. And also, we want to just talk about receiving more this year, celebrating our 5th year. If you are benefiting from our programming, especially our free programming, we encourage you to donate or support. Support can be writing a review, donating can be leaving a ongoing or one-time donation or purchasing some of our Soultry merch. But yeah, and then also last thing, last announcement, y'all. Don't forget to join our book club. That app, you'll get updates. I also posted in the club messages, but ain't nobody messaged me back. So if you are on the club messages, please reply. I do some little snapshots of my day, what I'm going through. So it'll be nice to not feel so alone on that book club app. Um, Again, we are celebrating our 5-year anniversary this Saturday on the 20th. We'll be doing a live anniversary celebration, a Q&A here on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. And we're doing a giveaway of our merch.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're going to be able to ask us questions, but we're going to do Soultry trivia. And the first person to comment the right answers will have a few questions. You'll win some of our merch. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. So join us not Friday, Saturday, January 20th, live, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, whichever way y'all want to tune in. It'll be really, really fun. Bring your own champagne or your own mocktail or your own snack, whatever it is. Come to celebrate with us, even if you just want to pop in and say hi, because we're really, really excited to be turning 5. Sultry's going to
Yay.
kindergarten, y'all.
Let's go to kindergarten. Okay, we got our Aunt Sine sipping on some sweet tea as well. Hi,
Hi.
Auntie. We got, yes, we got Caitlin tuning in from San Diego, not sipping on anything yet, but preparing dinner. Yes, nourish.
Nice.
We want to nourish ourselves. Okay, we got Geneva. Hello, everyone. Yes, thank you for coming back. Oh, and we got a compliment. Loving the orange blazer
Mm,
and pink sweater.
thank you,
Yay.
thank you. Yes, we want to bring that vibrant energy of Soultree because our motto is live vibrant and shine bright.
Shine
So we
bright.
like to
Mhm.
embody that whenever we can.
Yes. So as
Um,
you're getting cozy and comfy, gathering your books, or your artist way books out, or if you're preparing dinner, remember this live is you can engage how you want. Some people engage on their computers where they sit down with their book. Some people are listening to it like a podcast. So feel free to engage either after the recording or during. All is welcome.
Yes, so our New Year theme is creative care. And so if you're wondering how to, nurture and replenish yourself through creativity, if you're wanting to tap more into spirituality, if you're wondering why is an artist, a part of like spirituality, like how does that go together, then you're in the right place because we are reading The Artist's Way, and the subtitle is A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. So, this is the perfect book if you're wondering of like, oh, I really wanted to do certain creative projects, but feel stifled or feel stunted. Or if you are an artist and you just want to dive deeper into the spiritual side, or if you just want accountability and you're like, it's the new year, I think I need to let go of some stuff and
Mhm.
bring some stuff in. Whatever it is, this book will have you covered.
Yes.
So you're
I
in the
will
right place.
I will also say that a lot of times when the subject of creativity is brought up is like it comes from a place of ooh to create, right? A place of giving, a place of producing. And so creative care, we want to kind of reroute that as a way of receiving, a way of replenishing, and a way to collectively heal together. So that's why we put creative care together because in the book, Julia talks about creative recovery. And here at Soultry, we're wrapping that in a bow and reflecting that through creative care.
Yeah, and also with Soultry, if you're new to our community, we're all about empowerment through soul care. And so we define soul care as mind, body, soul, and community. And so with, the community being, us gathering here on our lives every week, but also our communities and our everyday lives. And again, that soul care, that creative care is helping to nourish ourselves from the inside out. So it's really also flows into our holistic well being that we talk about a lot in our community as well. So now creativity is just another avenue of us
Mhm.
diving into how do we care for ourselves and in turn how do we care for our communities, right? So I think this book has been really helpful so far. So if you your first time joining, this is week one. So last week we did the intro about kind of why we chose the book, why the author, created the book, and kind of what to expect from this 12-week long journey. But this week
Mhm.
is our week one check-in. And so after we did the first week of our artist day, our morning pages, the task, the read, we want to check in as a community and see what's going on.
Yes. And to start us off, we want to just do a quick check in. How was week one for everyone? And what were some of your takeaways from reading the first chapter, Recovering a Sense of Safety? So that's really what today's conversation, our community discussion is going to be wrapped around, really digesting together some of the things that were uncovered through reading, some of the things that were uncovered through our morning pages and artist dates. So let us know first thoughts.
Yeah, and again, there's no right or wrong way to do the artist way, especially in our book club. We're really just here to support each other along the way and to keep each other accountable so we can reach the finish line of 12 weeks
Mhm.
and hopefully and beyond.
Yeah.
Um, go ahead.
I was going to say after the intro last week, Julie recommended that we read the chapter and then do the activities, the tasks. So I just want to first ask everybody, did you do it in that order? Did you first read chapter one and then go through the tasks, or did you do the tasks and then read the chapter? I'm really curious of if people followed the order or maybe they tried something different.
Yeah, I kind of popped around. I mean, I had already kind of skimmed the chapter because like facilitating the book club like last week to kind of figure out how we wanted the flow to go. So I kind of skimmed through it I guess before last Wednesday of like what week one would be, but I didn't actually read it until a couple of days into the week. I read the chapter and I read like half of it. And then I did some of the tasks and then read the other part of it later and then finished the task and then did the check in earlier
So
today. So
you
it was
kind of
very
do a
like
little.
Get it in where I could
Collage.
fit it in. Yes.
Collage. Okay. For me, Thursday I listened to chapter one via audio book. Um, and then on Sunday or Monday, I read it again in hard copy. And that has
Mm,
been like my mode of most of these book clubs. But so that's what I did.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
then I worked through all of those tasks throughout the week. But I read this again closer to when we're going to be meeting.
Mhm. Okay, so we have a comment here. So finishing up chapter one tonight. So TBD on my end. No
Okay.
worries, no worries. We're really like at your own pace kind of book club. And again, this is a 12-week journey. So what works for each of y'all can work for you. For us, since we're facilitating, then we check in on Wednesdays. So just so the flow and the cadence for us to get through week by week.
And then Pauline shares, for me, the times I've attempted to go through the artist way, I've always read first, then did the tasks afterward. Okay. Yeah. I feel like reading first gave me more insight on like what I was thinking about during my artist day and morning pages. And when I felt like I didn't have anything coming from my mind, I would look and be like, ooh, let me write about this. So it did help me kind of continue to write.
Hmm.
Kyle shares, read through the chapter and did a bunch of tasks this weekend. Okay. Most but not all, I don't think. Oh, yes. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about which tasks, which numbers were like, because Julia said, do two that you're like, yes, I want to do. And then do the other two, like, I
Hmm.
don't know. So I would love to talk about which numbers. I want to see which numbers were more popular for those tasks and questions. And Caitlin glanced through the task first, then read the chapter. Okay. Yeah. And that's what this book feels like, really user friendly. Like as you want to engage with it, there's no right or wrong. I think it's just how you take in information and honestly what your schedule looks like.
Yes. That's what I started realizing this week. Because last month I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have so much time to get my artist date done, do all this." And then each day I'd be like, "Oh my god, like there's a lot that I have
Yes.
not necessarily going on, but to intentionally make time for it." That's what I'm
Hmm.
realizing. Like, okay, I do think I just want to block out time to do
Yeah.
these things because it's not just gonna come up.
Yeah. So I think let's segue into our our week one check-in questions. Let's dive into the
Hmm.
discussion and then reflect a little bit more on the reading, especially since some people are still finishing it. Let's really talk
Hmm.
about how we navigated these basic tools. So morning pages, y'all. Let us know in the chat how many days this week did you do your morning pages and how was the experience for you? Let us know by, 7, that means all the days, or, whatever number falls in between.
Yeah, so I did 7 each day this week. This is my journal for it. So my lavender journal that I was able to dedicate for the morning pages. So it's pretty big too compared to so it's essentially the same size. For Alyssa, who was like, her book was so big. Well, now I also have a big book. But yeah, so I did all 7 days, not every day. Okay, I think more days than not felt really hard. For me in my journey, which is kind of also one of the other questions, but I'll just say this for the morning pages, it was hard to wake up, and I'm not a morning person. I struggle with sleeping adequately, like early to get up at a certain time. So to then set my alarm 30 minutes before the regular time I get up, and then the alarm will go off, and I'll be like, I'm tired and I want to snooze. But then I had to remember, like, nah, you need to get up so you can do these morning pages. So it was really hard for me to not go back to sleep and to just be like, "Oh, Imma do it later." So it really took effort for me to be like, "No, get up." And then I have my journal, like, next to my bed, so when I turn off my alarm, I see the journal to remind myself, you need to do morning pages, and then I would take it to my living room and then journal here. One of the days I did journal in bed, but I feel like it was better when I got out of bed because then after I did the pages, then I felt like, okay, that's done. And then I would feel motivated to like start my day.
Mm,
um, so yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's interesting because I'm team right in the bed. I literally, when I'm not supposed to talk, not supposed to talk about what I wrote in the journal, but I did remember today. Remember writing. I really like writing in this bed. Like so,
Yeah, no, that works too.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting how for me the reason why I am writing in bed is because I'm still half asleep. To be like
Mhm.
for me, the first 5 days, um, were well 4 days. I immediately after I woke up. And the last 3 days, I did not write immediately as I woke up. One, I wrote at 1 o'clock in the morning. So
Like
it was
the
technically a new
morning
day. I
pages.
was like, I can't go to sleep. Maybe I should write some of these, do some of these like, time travel things, like as I try to like go to sleep. And so I ended up writing at like 1:30 a.m. and I did 2 pages. And so the next day I was like, "Ooh, can I just finish it?" And then the thing is, yeah, so that worked out. But yeah, I realized my writing. Sometimes I write immediately when I wake up, but the last 3 days, one was before I went to bed, technically the next day, and then the other two was like after I had already full disclosure, scrolled on my phone, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, you're supposed to write." So the last 2 days. So I mean, it is a new habit, but yeah, just being honest, like I'm happy that I got all 7 days, but it wasn't like I wake up, I turn, and I write. It wasn't like
Yeah,
that.
it's definitely not a habit yet for me either. And like the first like 2 to 3 days really showed me how, like, essentially addicted to the phone I am. Like, I would hear the alarm, wake up, turn the alarm off, and then be like, "Pick up the phone, let me check. What are you nothing
What you
for."
checking for?
But then I would one of the days I literally because I did not go on social media, like, I would tell myself, "You cannot be on Instagram," and I purposely moved my Instagram app somewhere else too, but, like, I checked my email. So I woke up, checked my email, then was like, "Oh, I guess I could write morning pages." I didn't need to check my email. That's so yeah, but it's just like not wanting to do it. That resistance then led me to like, let me just pick up
Hmm.
my phone, like you were talking about too. So yeah, it was a struggle with it's
Yes.
helping me realize I already had a feeling I was like, addicted to grab my phone first thing in the morning, but it really showed me because if the journal's here and the phone's here, why am I grabbing this first before
Yeah, it does really show you like your personal rituals. And like as I'm starting to see this, I'm
Mhm,
like, these are rituals, like grabbing your phone. Like
mhm,
it's not not intentional. It's just become a habit. So I do
mhm.
appreciate that. What does Kyle share? Kyle shares having the journal nearby in the morning was key. Definitely liked writing at a table more than in bed. In the bed, I end up cranking my neck too much. Oh, yep, definitely. And then
Listen,
Kenny
be
shares.
careful.
Yeah, yeah. I did start to look at the way I hold my pen because I don't write anymore, and I was like, we got to redo this. I did 5 to 7 days. That is just not easy for me. I struggle with finding things to write about initially, and my hand be cramping. Yes, page two,
Yes.
everyone. Page two gets me.
Yeah,
Also need
my
a
hand be
pen that
cramping
does.
too.
Also need a pen that does spell check.
Oh my yeah, actually through morning pages, I mean, with my regular journaling practice, I feel like sometimes I do notice, yeah, like my spelling and things, but I think this week with the morning pages, I was kind of like, why am I spelling things weird? And then at one point I was like, am I dyslexic? Like honestly, because like some things I was writing, my brain would spell it differently. So I don't know. It was interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like even just the art of writing itself.
Yeah.
Kyle also shares it's been tough to get the writing in before the commute, but I think it just means I have to wake up earlier and go to. Yes, that it's a lifestyle change. How much you said, start going to bed like your sleep routine. This is what she meant. She was like, just she threw that in because she knew in order to do these morning pages, you have to wake up like now for me, I have to wake an hour and a half earlier than when I gotta do something because I already do my morning walks. So add that half hour, I'm waking up, I'm like, okay, go ahead and toss 3 hours. I mean, I have to wake up at 5. So now I understand why there's a 5 a.m. crew. Because if I'm
That's the
going to
5
function
a.m.
at 8,
club. Because they
I'm
want
like,
to do a whole routine. They want to write. They want to walk. They want to
yes.
eat all before the day
Mhm,
starts.
exactly. Geneva shares, I only did 3 days. I honestly forgot about doing it the first. I mean, that
That's
happens.
okay. That's
You have your
okay.
routine.
That's
Yes.
okay.
And then Delisa Seals shares, I'm enjoying the book a little repetitive. Yeah, I mean, I can agree. The format can be repetitive at times. Yeah. But I think she's trying to
Yeah.
drill it
Yeah, I
in. I
think
don't know.
she's trying to emphasize the routineness of like building the habit of the morning pages and unlearning like why we feel we're not artists, right? Like these negative self-talk. I feel like, yeah, week one, especially because it's about like safety, was really about the excavating and digging into the internal, like those little voices inside, right? That
Mhm.
are making it hard for us to pick up the pages in
Yeah.
the morning, right? Making it hard for us to go to sleep. Definitely.
Yes. So, um, congratulations everybody for, sharing, for getting through it.
For making
Um,
it here today to
for
the
making it
check-in. If
here
you're here,
today.
you're good.
We all start somewhere too. And I feel like
Mhm.
morning pages is probably from the 2 tasks harder to do. Now, artist dates, on the other hand, I'm more favorable to that. So, we'll wait for y'all to share more. You can continue to share more about morning pages, but we'll segue into talking about artist dates. So, let us know. Did you go on an artist date this past week? If so, what did you do, and how did you feel? Some of y'all
Me
already knew that last week I was leaving to go on my artist date.
right after the live.
We had to end the live on time or on at a certain time, because I went to go see The Wiz, the musical, and I went by myself, and um, it was amazing. It's a show that is near and dear to my heart. My first tap solo was to Ease On Down the Road,
Mhm.
and then I choreographed The Wiz uh, 2 years ago, and so I thought like, oh my gosh, I'm having all these full circle moments, and then they were like, and now they're going on national tour. I'm like, this show speaks to me in so many ways. So to be able to get the gift of watching it live with the new rendition, I was just elated.
Yay. So yeah, it was really exciting to hear about your artist date. My artist date happened later in the week. So I went on Monday, MLK Day, to the DC MLK Library. And so I got my DC library card. And if you know me, you know I love public libraries. You know, I love collecting library cards. So I'm super excited for that. And then they have a little cafe on the first floor. So I got a little breakfast sandwich and a tea, and it was very affordable. I like that about the cafe they have. And then I walked around the National Mall, like because it was snowing. And if you know me, I'm not a snow girl. Okay, I am tropical humidity mama. Okay, I am made for the heat. So snow is I just usually stay in. But I was like, Tony, you're gonna go on your artist date even in this snow. So I bundled up. And so then when I was walking in the snow, I was just like taking it in, like just being like a little kid again and like having my tongue out to like get the little snowflakes coming down. And so that was just really sweet. And then I went back to the library, and then they have an exhibit on the top floor, and so they have one side is about MLK and like local DC like revolutionaries, and then the other side is like DC local history and like go-go music and stuff like that. So it was nice to have like library and art in one.
Mm,
So it's like my favorite things. And then after taking in the exhibit and stuff, then I sat down and journaled and like just free wrote some stuff, which was nice. Because I do take myself to exhibits and stuff a lot, but I don't think I always give myself space to write like in the space. So that felt
mm,
really nice and like invigorating that creativity. So I was like, oh, I can see why the intentionality of it being an artist date can also spring up some of that inspiration.
definitely. I felt inspired from my artist date, and it ended up inspiring me to choreograph to one of the songs from The Wiz for my upcoming workshop, and would have never thought of it for some reason. Like I was thinking other things, and I was like, I just there's this one scene that I love so much. It's the Emerald City sequence. And if y'all know the Wiz, the Emerald City sequence is when they're just like walking and they're like these different like citizens of Oz, and they're just like models and like it's basically highlighting like fashion, um, and it's just this regal, I don't know, and I just loved that look, and then the rendition in the Wiz that they did this year. They did like New Orleans bounce. They did like different dance styles and the different tones. I just loved the versatility of the artists and the actors, and I was just like, wow, like I just love how um, unapologetically like black this piece of work just keeps getting, like, and also showing like
Mhm.
the multi layers of our culture in this like very historical piece of American theater. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna keep that wheel going. Let's keep this in theme.
Nice. So yeah, we have some people sharing in the comments. So we have Kiara sharing, excited for my first artist date this upcoming week, thinking of seeing Ava DuVernay's new film Origin.
Ooh, I did see. Oh,
Nice.
ooh, yeah. Let us know how that goes. Give us
Yes.
a review.
Mm-hmm. And then Delisa shares, rewiring my brain for the morning pages. I'm a writer, but 3 pages is a bit much, right? Yeah, like I identify as a writer as well, but yeah, three pages first thing in the morning and just stream of conscious is it can be a lot. And then Delisa shares, I'm a head clerk in my local library. Yay, that's so awesome to hear. Oh, and then
And
we have some
Pauline,
comments earlier. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Pauline shares, I'm restarting the artist way this week, so I haven't started morning pages yet. But my last time in morning pages, I remember writing. I have no idea what to write like 3 times in a row. Yeah, I mean, because if you're trying to keep writing and not have those pauses, I mean that does happen, and I do that too. I'll rewrite things, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And then and then all of a sudden I started to process something that bothered me that day before. Super helpful. Yes, it's
Mm-hmm.
nice how like when we allow it, it really feels like that brain dump. It feels like,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling when you wash your face and you come up, you're like for that first breath and you just have that first thought. Yeah, it does really help. It definitely helped me too.
Yeah, definitely. And then I would notice I would like write things one day, and then the next day, if I'm writing about it again, I'm like, okay, like kind of taking a note of what she kind of mentioned in the book is like, then you'll want to take action for some of the stuff that you keep like
If you
writing
keep writing
about or
about
processing. So I did
mhm.
notice that a little bit too.
Hey Jasmine.
Hey,
Hey, ladies, joining late.
welcome.
Happy to be here. Yes, yes, yes. If you're coming in later, definitely come by and say hello. So we're just like reviewing with people, doing our artist check-in, or not artist check-in, our artist way check-in. Oh, y'all are our artists. See how that kind of came out? That sub came out. We're doing our check-in to see how our week was. And the last question you want to ask is, are there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them, because Julia Cameron in this book is talking about that creative recovery. So, in this
Mhm.
first chapter, talking about recovering a sense of safety, I think that's what she's talking about. Anything came up this week for our recovery as far as maybe safety? That's how I interpreted this question.
Mhm. I think safety, and I think also recovery is like just the my reflections were kind of like how I want to move forward. So like what have I learned from this week that
Yeah.
I want to help nurture my baby artist to feel more
Yeah.
supported in the
Yeah.
next week.
The
Yeah.
thing that came up for me was big tea time. Like,
Yeah. Oh wait, can we
uh,
go through some of the
oh
comments
yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
for because it's about the artist date and then we'll go
Mhm.
into
Yeah,
the third
yeah,
question. We have a lot. So we have Geneva sharing, I plan to go out for my artist date, but my body decided I was tired. So I colored and painted my nails instead.
yeah.
I counted that as my artist date. Yes, I
Oh
definitely
yes,
think even
definitely.
if you stay home, you can count that as artist date because I have plans. Well, different ideas I have is like, cooking a home cooked meal at home or doing a craft activity at home. So that definitely counts. So I'm glad that you did get your artist date in still. And I like us sharing what we did because then hopefully this can inspire everyone to, like,
Yeah.
you can also try different things
I
different
like
weeks.
the painting the nails one because I need to retouch these. So I
Nice,
like that.
right? And then Nicolette shares, for my artist date, I went to a thrift store, purchased some canvases, and went home to paint. It felt really therapeutic because I haven't made time to do anything creative in so long. Ooh, I love
Mm.
that. And I love, going to a thrift store to getting, sustainable and repurposing items. And then we have Kyle sharing, did my artist day indoors this week, took the time to lock in and watch the first episode of Dimension 20 Fantasy High, junior year, a D&D live play show, but intentionally. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
I love
That
that
sounds
too because
fun.
I feel like nowadays I don't intentionally just sit down and watch TV because this thing pops up. So I
Or like
do
it's
appreciate.
yeah. I feel like also nowadays it's like about multitasking and like what do you call it? Like optimizing time, right? So it's
Yeah,
like you're either
washing
doing
and doing
laundry and doing
laundry.
thing or cleaning or listening to a podcast while you do a thing or yeah. So it's like to intentionally be like, I'm taking this art in for myself and my creative, flow, I think is awesome. And I think that's,
Mhm.
inspiring me to think of the different things I can do more intentionally.
Mhm. And then Kenny shares, I took myself to a comedy show last week. Ooh, who'd you
Nice.
see? Ooh, I
That's
like that.
fun. I know, I love a good comedy show. Let's
And
see.
then Caitlin shares, I did my artist date in my living room and painted on canvas. Yes,
Oh,
you share that
yes.
on social media. I love
Oh,
that.
yes, yes. Yeah, so if
Mhm.
you all, like, with your artist date or your morning pages or whatever you're doing, if you wanna tag us at Soultry Sisters and we'll repost you. It's been really lovely to see everyone's, artist dates or your morning pages or just check-ins. And so, yeah, we appreciate when y'all tag us and we reshare them. So yeah, going into the third question. So yeah, was there any issues that you consider significant for your recovery? So you were talking about big T.
Oh, yes, yes. For me, I realized the issue that is significant in my recovery that I'm working on is like really putting out, making time for this creative recovery, making time for me to really just have that space. And I I want to do that more because I didn't do this on purpose because I had already rented space to choreograph on Monday. And this was like while I'm just doing all these like, planning work things. But I went into that 2 hours of the studio with a different mindset because of starting the artist way. Because normally I'll go in and I'll feel that creative block, y'all. That creative block. And I remember that day, that Monday, I was like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I have to be at the studio from 7 to 9, catch, I said have to, even though I reserved this space from 7 to 9 to choreograph for a workshop that's the 20, it's at the end of the month. And I'm like, why did I do that? And I'm like, so then these blurts come in, like, why'd you do
Mhm.
that? You're tired. And just all these things just all these things came up. That negative stuff came in, y'all, and I was just like, "Yo, what am I doing?" Like, I did this because I knew that I would want this time. Like, I knew it. That's why I planned it. And here I am 2 hours before, psyching myself out, wondering if can I email them and say, "Hey, can I move it to another time because I'm just too tired?" And it's like that's usually a lot of the things I'm too tired. I'm too this. I'm too that. Da 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 da. And I told myself, like, because this is like I'm committing myself to this recovery. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what's going on, baby AJ? What do you need? And I told myself, like, well, I think the reason why I'm saying I'm tired is because I didn't put in a dinner break. I was literally
Mm.
going from my last client to this creative rehearsal. And so I was like, okay. So I took, 15 minutes to go get some food, and then I ate my food in the car in front of the studio, but I'm like, "I'm not gonna go in there and eat my food, I'm gonna eat it
Yeah.
right in here, and I'm gonna eat this food, and I'm just gonna nourish my body," and literally, y'all, as soon as I ate and baby AJ had her meal, I had the best time choreographing, and like I said, I was choreographing to the Emerald City sequence, and I just had fun. And sometimes the things that the blurts are just because, just like a child, like I just wanted to eat. I just wanted.
Mhm.
So those are sometimes these negative things sometimes come in because I'm prioritizing the things I need to do versus the things that I need to do the thing, which was like,
Mhm.
you should probably feed yourself. And that sounds so
Mhm.
ridiculous, right? And they say in this book, like some of the things that cause us to have these creative blocks sound ridiculous, like eating. But I think that also comes from me not wanting to eat because I'm going to be looking at myself in the mirror for 2 hours. So there's this, and then it got deeper and deeper and deeper. I'm like, oh, so you just try not to eat because you have to look at. I'm like, see, so
Yeah.
that's what came up for me. So yeah, I feel like I don't know how I'm answering this question, and this is going all these places, but I realized that I need to not just give myself time to create. I need to give myself time to like eat and sleep,
Yeah, to
to
sustain
do nothing,
yourself,
to do
right? It's
nothing.
like, yeah. I think that goes into what we're talking about too with like the creative recovery is that also people who identify as artists and that's your livelihood, that you also are more than an artist, right? You also are a human that has basic needs of hunger, sleep, fun, right? Play is a need too, right? Sometimes we want to play, right? So maybe that helps shift your mindset to, okay, this rehearsal is playtime versus this rehearsal is like go time, work, work, work. So I think also those reframes kind of are
Mhm.
important. I think again, this journey is helping us have this self awareness that sometimes we just are in go 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 mode. We're in cruise control with life. Honestly, sometimes you're just going one thing to the next thing. But yeah, I think this book really is helping us see ourselves like without the rose colored glasses and stuff as
Yeah.
we are and accepting that and that's okay and also seeing the things that we want to nurture ourselves so we can show up in the ways that we want. Well, I see some comments here, so I'll share those before
Mhm.
I reflect. But Jasmine shared that her artist date was going to the Jackie Robinson Museum, and she felt she left feeling very inspired. I love that.
Mm.
And then Kyle shares, fun is something you have to find your way back to when creativity is your career. We also need to create separate from any productivity goals slash needs. That part.
That
Okay.
part.
Because especially even with Soultry, sometimes like, oh, I'm creating a reel. Like, because on Saturday I went to a swap, or one of the days of the weekend, I went to a swap and then I created a reel and I was like, oh, is that like create? And I was like, Tony, that's no, that is a creative outlet, but that is also tied to your business slash work. And with my therapist last year, I've learned to consider Soultry work because before I didn't, and I didn't have boundaries. But
Mhm.
so yeah, so definitely like productivity, creativity, and like creativeness just for the soul. I think for this container, we can consider them separate.
Mhm. Ooh, I like this one. Delisa shares, making time to be creative. I put a desk in the corner of my bedroom to give myself
Mm,
space, no phone. I agree. I love how you brought this up because I think also what come up came up to me this week is creating an environment to be
mhm.
creative, right? An environment to drown out the noise outside so we really can give that space to ourselves. And what's coming up for me in this response is space and no
Yes,
phone.
space. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing by coming out to my living area because I have a desk in my bedroom, but that's we talk about that a different day. So I come out to the living room because one, it has like a little bit more light. I can get
Mhm.
cozy with all like my pillows and stuff. And then yeah, I don't have I use my phone to time lapse, so I can't be on the phone because it's time lapsing me.
That's
And
great.
then I just write. So that's been helpful too of having like a designated like morning
Mhm.
pages area that has helped me
Mm.
with that. And then yeah, setting the space and the tones, like even with our lives, like I like having a candle on or my
Mhm.
incense. I even like got flowers at the end of my artist date and like made like a new flower arrangement because again,
Ooh.
I just like having things in my space that does spark that creativity.
Oh, speaking of roses, so this one bloomed in our mother's garden, and
Beautiful.
I saw it, and I was like, I'm gonna cut that clip that one. It was the one only one left. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You tell me, herbalist. But I just felt called, and I was like, I went up to the flower, and I was like, "You look so beautiful. I want to wake up to you." And
Mhm,
so this has been. So I understand what you're talking about, like wanting to create that environment, like little things.
I love that. And then Kyle shares, I spent a lot of time working through giving myself permission to trust my creative voice. Morning pages helped a lot with that too.
The
Thanks.
trust that's coming up. Trust my
Mhm.
creative voice. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then we have Geneva sharing, my creative recovery is rest, letting my mind wander and have imagination time. The more time I have to freely think, the more creatively replenished I feel. Ooh, I
Mm,
like. Yes,
I like that.
definitely. I don't know what I was writing for like a blog thing that Soultry will be submitting, but I did talk about rest and collective rest. And so I was like, I rest was on my mind today. But my reflections from week one is definitely like, how can I set myself up to feel rested in the morning. So every day on this journey, I don't dread it because the word that kept coming up was like dread, like, like dragging my feet, like, oh, I have to do this thing right. Like you said, it's like, you don't have to. This is a free book club. No one's holding y'all here. Like, do what you need to do. Just have to like check myself, like, you chose to do this. This is an invitation. So the last couple days, just like 2 days, I have been more intentional with my sleep routine, or at least my going to bed routine, which has helped me feel more rested. So I've been doing my herbal teas in the evening. So I do like my tulsi, my rose, that kind of stuff with my tinctures in the evening. And then sometimes I have help from some other herbs. And that helps me just feel relaxed. Um,
Mm,
and it's been helpful having accountability buddies, I guess, like having people who, when they're going to bed, be like, "Hey, are you going to sleep? Because we got morning pages in the morning." And
yeah.
I'm notorious for being like, "I'll sleep when I want to sleep," but it. I have tried to check myself in the last couple of days, like Tony. If you want to wake up at this time, you need to go to bed at this time so you feel rested. Um,
Mhm.
and so when I have gotten more restful sleep, then I have woken up and felt better about the morning pages. Still isn't the best, but
Mhm.
I felt better.
Yes, I love that for you, Tony. I love that, and I'm like, I feel like we were talking about that too last week, talking about this getting enough sleep and waking up. Nicolette shared Julia Cameron's concept of censor really helped me be more vulnerable in my
Mm,
writing. I found myself pushing myself to let go and just write more freely. Yes, I think Julia Cameron did a great primer of talking about the censor
mhm,
and talking about how we shush the censor and with the
mhm,
affirmation. So I can agree like that these tokens to bring with us as we recover is definitely helping me for sure catch it when it's happening and be like not happening. And
mhm.
then Kira shares sleeping is one of my biggest challenges because um I'm such a night owl. My evening routine has been helping and set bedtime.
Yeah,
Similar. So Tony, you're
yeah,
not alone.
yeah. We're in this boat together, but yeah, it's something that I'm realizing, and it's also connected to this phone because at night, because in the morning I'm like, okay, let me do morning pages and let me write, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, let me go do other things in the house, or let me do work. And so then
Mhm,
once I'm on Instagram, then I feel like it's almost like I feel like I have to catch up.
mhm.
And so then I feel like that's why sometimes I'm on it more in the evening because I'm like, oh, in the morning I didn't get to be on it, so I'm gonna be on it at night. But I really need to just not be on the phone. But
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, baby steps, baby steps. For me, last night when I came home, I was tempted to come home, take a shower, make dinner, and then get on my laptop and to answer some emails at 10 p.m. And then thinking about the morning pages, I was like, wait a minute. So I took a shower, I made my dinner, ate dinner, then I got into my bedroom and I was about to put my laptop on my bed and I was like, what you doing? I was like, you because I yawned. I was like, go to sleep. Go to sleep because if you go to sleep, you'll wake up. No one's gonna care about you answering these emails in these next 8 hours. One, and two, if you stay up an hour or two later, your morning pages ain't gonna be so fun. So it's
Mhm.
interesting how this morning page routine is helping me create better boundaries. And I'm not saying like it's been a journey. Like I've already had better boundaries with work, but this is really getting me on the habit versus like I can think, oh yeah, it's better for me not to be on the computer, but doesn't really stop me. So this is actually kind of giving me guardrails.
Yeah, the word
That's
that's coming up when you with you sharing is discipline. I'm hearing a lot of us kind of
mm,
talk about how this routine of morning pages and artist date, writing your subconscious freely is really that discipline, right? To like when we want to retract and retreat and not do the thing that we know is helpful for us, the discipline to go and do the thing that we know is actually helpful. Which yeah, is difficult. Discipline
yeah.
isn't
Or
easy or easeful, but I
yes,
think that's what we're all kind of navigating in this
yeah.
first week.
And I think it's also the voice, right? Which voice is
Mhm.
saying, go to bed, it's okay. And what voice is saying you need to do these other tasks? And I'm like, which voice is mine? And I'm like, actually, baby AJ, we know baby AJ from the story before says go to bed. But this other voice, which we'll get into in this next segment, talking about shadow artists, is the voice that keeps me up at night. Literally.
Mhm. I agree.
Literally.
I agree. Yes. Yeah, so we did want to share some quotes that resonate with us from week one's reading. So that will be this segment of our time. And so y'all can keep commenting and sharing, and then we'll share as we see fit. But the first part of this week one was recovering a sense of safety, and she goes into shadow artists.
Yes. She talks about shadow artists, and so we're just gonna talk about what that is. So, as young artists, we need to want to be acknowledged for our attempts and efforts, as well as for our achievements and triumphs. Many artists never receive their critical early encouragement. As a result, they may not know they are all artists, and she describes those folks as shadow artists. And I was like,
Hmm.
I really resonate with that, that
Hmm.
need to be acknowledged for our attempts and efforts.
Yeah, and I think especially at early ages, it's like when, um, there's always I've heard stories throughout my life of people being like, "Oh, I wanted to be a painter, but then I painted," and then like either a bully at school or an adult figure was like, "Oh, like what is that?" And then you feel more self conscious. And I definitely
Mhm.
had like felt like there was different times like that
Yeah.
for me growing up with different
Mhm.
stuff. That's like, because that was one of the tasks was like
Mhm.
your three, what's it, your critics or your
Yeah, 3 critics or
haters?
like monsters,
Yeah.
like monsters. I was like, got monsters in my
Like
closet.
that. And like one memory that like I don't know if it was the first memory of that kind of thing, but a memory that came up was like in fourth grade, there was like you could either stay in the regular classroom and I guess do homework or something, or go to choir class. But I remember not going to the choir class because someone I guess was like kind of making fun of the people that were singing or something. So I was like, oh, I guess I don't want to do that either. Even though I love karaoke. So it's like
Yeah.
I do love
That's a good
to
thing. Even though
sing
you
or
love
something.
karaoke, like somebody got in your way and that sounds like another maybe another fearful friend.
Yeah, because I was like,
Yeah.
"Why did they even say that?" But I do
Yeah.
remember them being all, like, poo-pooing on the choir class. I was like, "Oh, I guess I won't go." So, it's like a handful of us that would stay and I think just do homework. Like, I could have been singing,
Mhm.
and I love to sing, but yeah. So, it's interesting also when those, the tasks would kinda bring up those memories and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I remember as a young kid, like, being put into different art classes, like, I did drawing class, played piano, violin, all these things unrelated. Like, cause I danced ever since we were younger. We like always dance, but we tried these other things. Our parents put in other things, but I
Oh, I
remember.
didn't really.
Okay, well,
Like, my
I got
journey is I
it's
only
okay.
did dance.
But I remember doing these other art classes that I thought were fun. But I also remember someone telling me, "Don't do those other things. You're better at dance." So like, even though like I loved drawing, even though I thought piano was fun and violin, apparently I wasn't as good as I was as a dancer. So I was reared as a child to go towards dance, which I feel like I just did because I was just like a free spirit, but I was pushed to do that and train in that versus like I always till this day love doodling, and but I wasn't nurtured to do that. And I also love like music. So I was a music major before I was a dance major. So because of my dancing was so much better, they're like, "Girl, don't worry about no violin. Don't worry about playing an instrument. You're a dancer." Like, I was told I was that. So that came up for me. And I never made that. I never even thought about that.
Mhm.
Because I'm an artist now and I'm a dancer and I'm a choreographer, it's helping me see
Mhm.
the other shadows in my life. I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Which goes to this quote: very often, audacity, not talent, makes one person an artist and another a shadow artist, right? So
Mhm.
here I'm saying, like, I had the talent of being a dancer, but I didn't have the audacity to be like, you know what? I still want to draw.
Mhm.
I was pushed to go towards my talent versus going towards what I was the most curious about at that
Yeah.
time.
No, that's how I felt too. Like being your younger sister, they put me in dance, they put me in violin because you did those things. And I actually want to do piano or play the viola or the flute and I love fashion design ever since I was little. So I would like design stuff. My mom would sew, but she never was like, "Oh, here's this class to like learn how to sew," or "Here's this design courses." It was always just like I was in dance. Like I never even got to do like Girl Scouts or anything. Like so that's like my
Mhm.
journey unlearning as an adult is that like I can do these other creative things. So like last year, I kind of started doing ceramics. I started pole dancing, just different things. It's like I don't have to do what I'm like deemed, the creative art that I'm deemed good at or whatever. Um,
Yeah, that's why I really liked how she talked about like to recover it, you got to be okay with being a bad artist, you know?
mhm,
So I love that. But let's go to the comments. We got lots of y'all sharing. We got Kyle saying, "I really had to come to grips with the fact that cell phones are energy drains. It doesn't feel like you're using energy, but then you scroll for an hour and want to take a nap dead." Yes.
that
Or
part.
even in the morning, you'll scroll and be like, "Okay, 5 more minutes."
Exactly. And it's like if you just would have got up, you would have been fine.
Yes. Nicolette says, "Yes, the discipline." Mhm. Caitlin says, "Yes, for sure, working on discipline." But it's hard. Yeah. I hear y'all cause I'll be scrolling the phone and the laptop doing all. Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Mhm,
Mhm. And then speaking of the chapter, Geneva shares, "I resonate with this so much." That first quote, I felt like she was talking directly to me. Mhm.
mhm.
Mhm. And then Kyle shares, "Had a conversation this weekend about shadow artists. So much of whether someone ends up doing art comes down to whether they're in an environment where creative expression is encouraged."
Mhm.
Ain't that the truth, y'all? Do you feel that?
Yeah. Mhm. And I felt like also growing up, like our family, especially our mom's side, is very creative. Like her brothers, her father, our mom herself, like she's not only a self-taught seamstress, she sings, she does everything. But with her, I feel like when she would talk about it, it was kind of like, oh, I do these things on the side, but like I'm a, laboratory tech, like my full-time job,
Mhm.
like I'm molecular genetics, but then, oh, I do these things. So she was encouraging like growing up she took me to do crafts at like Michael's and we go to the library she'd take me on little artist dates as a child, so I've always been interested in crafting and that's something that she passed down to us, but I always did kind of feel like it was always just like a side thing. They weren't
Yes.
necessarily like, yeah, just go for it. Like they're
I
always
feel like
kind of like,
I feel like I feel like I thought about our mother a lot of being a shadow artist because she does a lot of artsy stuff. Kyle shares, like NYC, for example, everybody's doing something creative and it's just
Mhm.
normal. Other places, not so much. Damn, capitalism strikes again. Yes, that's true. When you're in a place,
Mhm.
I feel like in NYC and maybe like other like art hubs. I say hubs because they're deemed hubs by mainstream people, like LA, it's like, okay, I'm an artist and this is my muggle job. Muggle meaning like my regular 9 to 5, but this is what I'm passionate about. It seems like NYC, like that's a normal conversation of like, what kind of creative projects do you do? And then, the other job is somewhere else. So I
Mhm.
definitely can see that. Oh, and then Kiera shares, I was the best at dance and I wish I would have stuck with piano or pursuing the violin.
Mhm.
Same as us. Yes.
I know when I went
Yes.
to see the Candlelight when they did Beyonce string quartet, I was like, imagine if I stayed with the violin, I could have
Hmm.
been over here playing Beyonce songs.
Yeah. Exactly. And then I really resonated with that quote because I work in advertising and marketing. Mhm. Kenny, I'm an arts administrator, and that's a career that is oversaturated with shadow artists. Yes. So then they talked about how shadow artists end up being in other um,
Mhm.
jobs that are close
Like
or
adjacent, yeah.
adjacent or parallel. I really felt that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Or yeah, she also mentioned in the chapter how like a lot of shadow artists also are like either the managers or the really
The
supportive
critics,
partner or the critics
editors.
of the main talent, right? So like
Mhm.
they want to still be in that art space, right? Because there's some people who have like totally different muggle jobs and some people who are still in the art space but themselves struggle to identify as an artist.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I appreciate how Julie Cameron starts week 1 with that with talking about shadow artists because it makes so many of us feel seen, whether we're
Mhm.
artists that didn't pursue other art disciplines or you pursued other careers, and you're like, "That you felt that." So, I feel like it was important for us to all identify what shadow artistry we have
Mhm.
to be able to then recover. It's almost like like, "Let's get to the root." Deep down, many of us have these artful interests. It's creative interests, I guess. Yeah.
No, definitely. And I think in my journey, um, right here, it goes into the next quote I wanted to share. So, with creative recovery, oops, it
I'll
takes
fix that, bro.
nurture. It's like it takes nurturing to be an artist. Shadow artists did not receive sufficient nurturing. And that's what I think we're all talking about, right? Is that like maybe you got nurturing in one aspect of your artist journey, but not the others. And I felt like just last year in my journey, I came to realize that all the way up until college, I was seen as a dancer. Like everyone who knew me as a dancer, right? I was like captain of like my hip hop team, captain of dance team in high school. I was choreographing all the time, all these things. Like it was just normal for to have artful things in my life. And then I would always craft and stuff ever since I was a child and just different things. And then as an adult after college, I did kind of purposely kind of distance myself from being a dancer because I was like going through the identity of crisis of like, am I a dancer or like because I want to be, or is that just I was plopped into dancing? And then last year I realized like, oh no, I do love dancing. I just love different styles. I love
Mhm.
dancing in my own way. That's like more healing and pleasure centered. So I'm going through a journey of making my way back to the art practice that most people kind of do know me as, except for here in DC. It's weird that people actually don't know me as a dancer. But yes, I'm coming back to it. So I think that's also part of the journey is that like sometimes you'll pick up things, you'll put them down, and different ways to identify. And more recently, on my Puerto Rico trip, I came to the realization that I'm a healing artist. So through yoga, herbalism, and those other things that I do, like doula work, that artistry is in the realm of healing. So
Mhm.
it's a journey.
Yeah, and like this quote also, like we said, makes you we feel like the things that we nurture is what grow. So how can we, in our creative recovery, nurture and reclaim some of those identities, so they can grow?
And when I was talking about pleasure, so we love play here at Soultry. So another quote we want to share is creativity is play. But for shadow artists, learning to allow themselves to play is hard work, which I feel like kind of went into what Kyle was sharing a little bit earlier, right? Like to see yourself as a creative and to allow yourself to tap into that, right? Some spaces, like certain cities, will be more nurturing for that,
Mhm.
but also certain people you're around, or even that inner the inner negative critic, right, is how we can unlearn that so we can tap into
Mhm.
play. um and play being hard work, it doesn't have to be right,
Yeah,
like if we're nurturing ourselves and setting ourselves up, then hopefully it'll start to flow more naturally.
exactly. And I think what I appreciate too, so she talks about the shadow artist, and many of us are like, okay, so what now? I really want to be a writer, and now I'm doing something else, or I'm a dancer now, but I really want to do this other thing. So am I supposed to quit that other thing? So I really appreciated, because I'm a type of person, I think a lot, I think black and white a lot. So I have to stop myself from just like jumping off the ship, jumping on the train. So this is just me honest. That's how I am. I'm like the why not person. Like, why not just change your whole life and just quit your job? That's that's I tend to be that way. So lesson learned. I loved how she said, in recovering from our creative blocks, it is necessary to go gently and slowly. We are here. We What we are here after all is to heal old wounds, not just to create new ones. So I appreciate the pump the brakes. You're gonna come. This is gonna be. You're gonna come to these realizations, but there's no need to like flip a switch. This
Hmm.
is recovery. So it was more of a shedding versus a turning another switch on. Because I feel like then all these different lights are on in your brain. We got to turn some of these other lights off. And then
Hmm.
I really appreciated this other quote is, remember that in order to recover as an artist, you must be willing to be a bad artist.
Hmm.
Give yourself permission to be a beginner. So there's like these two dualities. You either like, if you've
Hmm.
never identified as an artist, you're truly that shadow artist that did something totally different. It might be like, give your permission to be bad, um, or a beginner. And for me, as a person who's already practicing another art but wants to go into another one, it's like, slow down. We don't have to just disregard what you've already done. Like, I think it's important to acknowledge like we all got to this beautiful place. We all may have ended up being in other professions, but to see the art within that profession, to see
Hmm.
it amongst what we do and appreciate it versus totally disassociate with it. I just want us
Hmm.
to like ground in that like some of us who have become other things, it's I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's more of like a way of just acknowledging that that's why you are doing this other role.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge how creativity and innovation is in every industry and
Everything.
every
Yeah, it's
job,
not.
right? Like even if you're a door dasher, right? You have to be creative and innovative sometimes with like, how you're picking up orders or, what you're doing. So like everything has creativity in it. I think that's like the unlearning of society, especially like, cis hetero patriarchal
Mhm.
society is just very like you're in this box. This is what we label you as, and you're this forever, right?
Yeah.
And especially capitalism too. It's like you're just trying to go up the ranks.
Mhm.
So I think unlearning all of that is a lot, right? But yeah, I think it with unlearning, it gives space for
Yes.
us to honor where we're at, and to just inquire, right? Like, also, you don't have to jump to action first. You can just inquire, like, oh, what are some of the creative things I
Mhm.
have wanted to do ever since I was a child, right? And you don't have to do them tomorrow, but just to know and honor that that's your truth and that's, your journey,
Mhm.
is so important.
Exactly.
And she also said with like talking about being a bad artist or being a beginner, also a lot of what happens is that we sometimes share our work with the wrong people too soon. So if you're new to writing and you write a poem and you share it with like someone that that's like, five-time published poet, right? Maybe they might be a little bit more critical, Not saying that that happens every time, but she was saying examples in the book when like maybe you share it with someone who just a little critical, or you share it with your parent who's like, nah,
Mhm.
you need to have a regular job. Those type of experiences can then negatively
Mhm.
assure those negative beliefs that we have. So she was saying to just be intentional with who you share these new discoveries with. If it's just in your morning pages, that's okay. Or to find someone that you trust that maybe is on this journey
Mhm.
too. So maybe people in the book club can be support. And yeah, the beginner is humbling. That's me with
Yeah.
my pole classes.
Yeah. Definitely. Uh,
It's hard.
we have some folks in the comments. Geneva shares, I think the shadow artist comes back to self esteem too. The more you love and value yourself, the more you give yourself space to be free and create without judgment. I can see that.
Mhm.
Definitely. And then Kyle shares, very difficult to do a new kind of art without self judgment. So these back to back comments. But I think you have to be your first safe space of encouragement for art. So that's that self esteem. We have to be, and I think the first self space, that's why we're doing a lot of things with ourselves, right? The morning pages, the artist date, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm. Yeah, which goes into
Hmm.
the next quote I wanted to share. So much fear of our own creativity is the fear of the unknown, right? So that self-critic sometimes is because we just don't know where this is going to take us. I'm like, oh, I want to learn ceramics and pottery, but it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know what that's going to look like, right? Like, what studio am I going to go to? How often do I need to go to? So it's a lot of times it's those things that are holding you back is really just fear. And so hopefully that's, empowering for those listening too, that like it's not because you can't get past that self judgment. It's just to acknowledge and know that
Hmm.
that's fear or that's, these negative beliefs to then help you release it.
Yes. So, like now segueing into like those the talking about shadow artists into core negative beliefs, she's now saying, okay, so many of us weren't encouraged. So what has kept us here has
Hmm.
been believing in these core negative beliefs. And I was like, oh, this is perfect order. I'm like, okay, so now what? She's like, what has like so it's like you identify as a shadow artist, but also what has kept you there. And the first quote is kind of sharing what core negative beliefs. The definition she shares is they come to us, it's a negative belief that comes to us from our parents, our religion, our culture, and our fearful friends. And
Hmm.
I appreciate that the variety because it comes in different shapes and forms. And I've heard people say like, "Oh yeah, the like talking when you're talking about your inner child, like they talk about like how you were raised, but I don't they don't always talk about the environment of religion and your friends and culture as much as like the parental unit. So I appreciate a little bit of a larger lens on how we come up with these beliefs.
Yeah. Or even I think going down to like when you're in an elementary school, I was deemed smart because I took some type of exam, and so I literally had to go to a new school for talented and gifted, or in the West Coast, they call it gifted and talented. And even that is just stifling for children. I had to, like, although it was a good thing, I had to change friends. I already just moved here, like, we live on the East
Mhm.
Coast. Then, for after 1 year of making friends, go to another school that's not kids from my neighborhood. And now I'm the smart kid from my old school. So it's like I left them behind. It's like, so sometimes I think the school system and parents are trying to do what's best for the kid, but it's
Mhm.
like you're already dividing like, okay, there's smart kids, there's unsmart kids, then you have kids that go to, even art magnet schools here
Mhm.
specifically in the East Coast, and then other kids who don't go to that, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it's even the way society and our neighborhoods and our communities are structured kind of
Mhm.
make it to why we feel so like, okay, I have to go on this track. This is what I chose when I was 10 years old,
Yeah.
and this is
Yeah.
what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. It's like when you ask kids when they're little, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, life, like,
Yeah.
like it's a lot of pressure on our little
Exactly.
child selves.
So yeah, when y'all read this part of the book, did any core negative beliefs come up for you that you realize it comes from that voice of parents, the voice of religion, the voice of culture, or friends? Let us know in the comments. Um, the other quote we wanted to share is most block creatives carry unacknowledged either or reasoning that stands between them and their work. I was like, unacknowledged. So we really had to
Mhm.
take that time, right? To feel like, where are these voices coming from? Where are these blurts coming from? And then to become unblocked, we must recognize our either or thinking. So I
Mhm.
had to sit with this for a while too, because I know I have black and white thinking based off of what my therapist has told me. I've been told this many times in life for in my general life, but to think about it from these core negative beliefs, I had to do some work to really reflect because they were buried deep, y'all, real deep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, yeah, especially with the unacknowledged part, right? Because sometimes we don't even realize it's happening because it's in our subconscious and we've been conditioned that way since, like, we're little kids. Um, but yeah, I felt like with what was the part I was talking about? The either or thinking. I think sometimes with me, I have a lot of different interests, right? Like I want to do ceramics, I want to pole dance, I want to do hip hop classes, then I want to craft, then I want to do this, I want to cook vegan meals. And I think my either or sometimes is like, okay, you need to choose one thing to like focus on so you can get like good at it or whatever. So you can really do the thing. Because I feel like sometimes because I have so many interests and multi hyphenate and do a lot of things, um, sometimes I feel like that's what makes me hesitant to identify as certain types of artists and certain labels because I'm like, "Oh, I just dabble in it, or I dabble in this." So that's been something that I feel like for me is the either or. It shows up like that for me.
Mm. Yeah, how does either or show up for me? I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, let us know in the comments. How does this either or black and white thinking show up when you're thinking about pursuing your creative endeavors? For
Mhm,
me, it because of capitalism, it comes off if you learn this thing, will you be able to monetize it?
mhm,
That either you're wasting your time trying to find this new skill, can you add that to your business? Can you get any like money back from this? And that has really stunted me becoming more of a hobbyist because some of the things I want to do have nothing related to my business as being a choreographer and performing artist, but I want to do it, you know? So I was like, wow, so that the other creative outlets I've acquired, like filmmaking and all graphic arts has to do with, being a small business. So what is totally unrelated? I was like, wow, this either or it has gotten me going on a specific path and really not allowing myself to have these outlier hobbies that are totally
yeah,
unrelated.
and kinda what Kyle mentioned earlier, like the productivity creative
Mhm.
stuff, right? So like what you're describing is kind of like, oh, it's linked to productivity versus just play, just
Yeah,
pleasure. And
like,
that's what might be why sometimes there's that resistance because you're like, because this is linked to business and making money. It's not just I'm doing this for fun
yeah,
for
like, if I
me.
take this workshop, can I write it off because it's related to my business? I'm like, "Girl, stop." But that's the loop I'm stuck in personally as a working artist, that I just keep acquiring more things that deal with work versus giving myself this
Mhm,
relief from that. So I'm
mhm,
really hoping this book and this creative recovery helps me create a healthy separation and not this indulgent toxicity. And I'm not saying it's a bad
mhm.
thing. I mean, it has benefited me, but not my spirit. This is about a
Yeah, not
spirituality.
baby AJ.
This is about spirituality, and I have to remind myself, like, the artist way is not finding new ways to make money. The artist way
That's
is
a
about
different book.
me.
That's a whole different book.
That's a whole different book, y'all.
The book
It's
within
not
the
in
book.
here. I don't hear it. So I'm saying this out loud because I'm really trying to, like, every time try to not that reroute
Yeah,
my brain.
man.
Like, I rewire my brain like
Mhm.
Delisa was talking about.
Yeah, so Caitlin shares, yes, definitely the voice of parents and some former friends as well. Creativity wasn't really encouraged, and when I was creative in school, sometimes I was met with negativity. Right? Yeah,
Mm,
like those things we're realizing now can actually have a major impact on the rest of our lives. Like I wish there was someone, back then to be like, just do it, just do it. But we're still here nurturing our baby selves still. And then Pauline shares, I was gonna say that will this make me money is that double cap placement, right? Exactly. I got Capricorn rising, so I also be
I
like,
got
how can I
Virgo
be
moon, y'all.
productive?
I got
Because
Virgo
even
moon
with
keeping me
my
up at
life
night.
path being my life path number 8, it's linked to like spiritual gifts, but monetizing them. And so like I haven't really leaned into monetizing my spiritual gifts, but the spirit guides be like, girl, you can make money off of this. I think that's why I have it.
I don't want to touch it.
Oh, gosh. And then
And then
Kyle
Kyle
shares,
shares.
for me, it often comes down to questions of capacity, as in, I can't invest in this new thing because I need the energy to do productive things.
Mm,
Grad school made me hyper vigilant about avoiding burnout. That's real. That's real.
mm.
But breaking through the either or means realizing that doing creative and fun things can be recharging and generative and not draining. Exactly. So it's just
So,
unlearning and relearning.
okay, this part. Okay, I want to pause right here. That brings up to me another thing, another either or. If I start this, I must finish it. But Julia talks about, if you start something, say you start a crochet project, you don't finish it. It was about the process, not the product. And so I wrote in my journal. I'm not supposed to talk about what I wrote in my journal, but
It's like the confessional.
I'm not supposed to share this, but I
Um,
did think about that capacity part. Like, if I want to create something, am I supposed to finish it? Like on these artist dates, like if I'm painting or drawing or doing anything during my artist date, do I have to finish it? And I was like, no, no, you don't. But that's what was gearing. That's what was getting me to, when I was planning week 2, my artist date, because I'm already thinking about what's happening this upcoming week. I'm thinking about what can I do that can be finished in 2 hours. I'm like, that's not the assignment. I did not understand the assignment. Go back and read again.
Julia's like, where in the book did I put you gotta finish it in 2 hours? She was like, you just give yourself 2 hours.
And so that's what came up with Kyle saying, like, do I have the capacity to start this new thing? And it's like, you can start. She never said you had to finish.
Hmm.
She never
But I
once
think,
said,
yeah, I think my Gemini place, my Gemini moon allows me to not finish a lot of things. That's why I pick up a lot of new and I don't always finish them. But yeah, I think part of my personality, I'm just very much like that. Like, oh, I dip
yeah,
and dabble. Like, I like this week. Oh,
yeah,
this other month, I like this.
yeah, exactly. And like now speaking about like, so we've talked about like our either or thinking and our core beliefs. Now it's time to talk about aff- affirmative weapons. I really appreciate that we talked we first touched on shadow artists, then we talked about where do these negative core beliefs now how do we get out of this? How do we heal ourselves, right? She talks about this book being
Hmm.
about healing our wounds. So the quote we wanted to share is affirmations are like prescriptions for certain aspects of yourself you want to change. Jerry Frankhauser. I was like, yes, prescription. We're talking about like soul care, collective healing. And so with that said, are there in the book she lists some affirmations, and she also shared like, yeah, she lists some affirmations. And so in the comments, let us know what are some affirmations either from the book or that you wrote down in your, well, maybe not in your journal because you're not supposed to. I'm like, it's going to be hard for me not to share with y'all. I'm a TMI girl. But what are some affirmations that you are prescribing for your creative recovery?
Nice. It wasn't anything I journaled for morning pages, but for my intentions of this year, I did write down, which essentially is an affirmation that I make space for myself.
Mm,
And so that can branch out into my creative practices, just resting, just doing nothingness. And also taking up space to share my voice, my creative voice, to share my gifts with others. So that's kind of what's guiding me as we begin the year is making
mm,
space for self. So that's why when I did my artist date, I was like proud of myself. I was like, okay, even the Mother Nature's being wintry did not stop me from making space
mm.
for self.
I love that. And then Geneva shares art is about passion, not productivity.
Say
I
that
mean,
again.
art
Passion,
is
not
about
productivity.
actually I should write that down on a bookmark in this book when I'm reading to remind
Girl.
myself art is about passion, not productivity. Thank you. Ashe, I received that.
Mhm. And at
Hmm.
Soultry, we love affirmations. We have a blog post on our website about affirmations, what they are, how we use them for our holistic healing. So if you're interested, go to sultrysisters.com/blog and you'll find it there. But the last quote that we wanted to share about affirmations is affirmations help achieve a sense of safety and hope. And so again, with
Mm,
a lot of, the censor that comes up, the negative beliefs, the negative self-talk, the healing of the wounds that need healing, that affirmations can be like that warm hug, that embrace, that warm, heated, heavy blanket that makes us feel cozy during this journey, right? So if affirmations maybe are something that don't resonate as much with you, I just invite you to find a practice that does feel soothing, that feels cozy, and that feels supportive to help support you through this journey. Right? It's 12 weeks. We just finished week one, and we already had a lot of downloads, a lot of things come up. And so, I just want to encourage all of us to, just find what feels good for you. And each week that might be different, but this is a healing journey and also to tap into community. So, whether that's a therapist, whether that's a friend, whether that's someone through this book club, right, that you're seeing, um, just find ways to also tap into the others in our
mhm.
network because we don't have to do this alone. And if you want, more support than just tuning in live, you can message us. And if you want us to kind of connect you with folks, that could be something we can offer too.
Definitely. We're always here for y'all. We're always here as this resource. I wanted to share some creative affirmations from the book. We also have some wonderful affirmations in the comments. Um, and I like asterisk the ones that
Hmm.
resonated with me that I looked at before and after I wrote before or after I wrote my morning pages. So the first one from the book, as I create and listen, I will be led.
Hmm.
My creativity heals myself and others. I'm allowed to nurture my artist. As I listen to the creator within, I am led. I'm willing to learn to let myself create. I am willing to be of service through my creativity, and there is a divine plan of goodness for my work. Those are the ones that I've been working with this week.
Hmm. Yeah, the ones that resonated with me was number two, my dreams come from God and God has the power to accomplish them. So kind of taking that pressure off of
Surrender.
me. Yeah. And then also the last one, number 20, I am willing to use my creative talents because just the words used are very similar to what's been coming up in my
Mhm.
own writing this past year. When I get downloads from my spirit guides, have really about using my creativity and my spiritual talents specifically. So I was like, oh, this is like the perfect book for me to be reading at this part of my journey. So it was just really affirming to see this written down in text when I write sort of these kind of
Mhm.
affirmations in my journal.
And then Delisa shares, I am creative.
Mhm.
She also shares, I thrive in spaces where I feel safe. I am
Mm.
resilient. Ooh, yes. Yeah, it I haven't made my own yet in reflection um of these weeks, but it is kind of it would be interesting too because I think that was one of the the
Tasks.
tasks,
Mhm.
mhm, was to work with affirmations and
Mhm.
blurts, and so to, like, think of that negative core belief and create your own. So that's the one I wanna go back to. That's definitely the
Mhm.
one, um, that I wanna go back to. And so let us know if there's any affirmations that you are working with that came up. And also let us know which one of these time travel or imaginary lives, these reflection questions that you got into. You can give us the number or the question. And while y'all do that, I'm going to pull up some of these comments. Kara shares, I started a podcast a few years ago and published one episode, I used to beat myself up about it, but exactly what was said about it being about the process. A lot of
Mhm.
character development for me. Yes, yes, getting out there and starting it. Definitely share with us if you want. We'd love
Yeah.
to support you and listen to your podcast episode. We love listening to podcasts when we walk. So definitely share that. Pauline shared Kara last year. I had a goal to produce a podcast. I recorded 2 episodes and never did anything with them. I definitely go between guilt and gratitude because I learned so much about myself through the process. Yes,
Mhm.
I love how we're sharing that we can create things and even when we if we don't share them, if we don't publish it, if we don't finish it, it is still a rewarding process.
Mhm. And
And
it's still valid as a creative thing, right? Like a
mhm,
creative art
yeah,
practice or whatever you wanna call it. Because I think
yeah,
because of capitalism and social media capitalism of the whole, like, turn your hobby into a side hustle, grow your followers, get the most engagement, it can feel daunting if you do a thing and, maybe not you don't wanna share it as much or
yeah,
something. I feel like there's a pressure with the social media capitalism to, 1, share your creativity, like, whatever you do put it
yeah,
on social media for everyone to see and then to profit off of it. So I think
yeah.
this journey really is about also unlearning that for a lot of us.
I think also too, like comparing ourselves to people who are like working for NPR, versus like doing, I think
Mhm.
that also comes up to for me too. But I think for me, I realized also with some of the reflections this week that came up in my writing with the task is that most of the reason why I am an artist is to be witnessed. And so I think
Mhm.
sharing with a trusted friend, sharing with a trusted community. And we will definitely be your witness, y'all. You can email us, DM us your art. We will be like, "Woo, we did that," and be your witness. Kyle's sharing the tasks that he did is the questions, the one about enemies. I did that one too. Champions, that's on my list to do. Horror story, I did that too and imaginary lives. So similar. The only one I didn't do yet was the champions one.
Yeah, I really like the Imaginary Lives one, it was nice.
Yes, me too. Yeah. I like the imaginary lives one. Okay, so let's go. The
Oh, I
imaginary
need I
lives,
wanted to add I just thought of another imaginary life right now.
yeah. So we're talking, y'all, and this will be the last thing we talk about is about the different tasks we got, and we had these different questions. There are about 10 of them, and one was about the morning pages, your artist date, and then there were these time travel questions like listing your old enemies, a horror story from your Monster Hall of Fame, people haters, time travel, list 3 old champions of your creative self-worth. And then there was select and write out one happy piece of encouragement. You can mail a letter to yourself or a long lost mentor. That's the one I wanted to do. But Imaginary Lives was the one that really made me realize kind of like my shadow. Some of the
Mhm.
shadow things that I do in my life, my shadow hobbies, my shadow interests are very much linked to these imaginary lives of what I would be
Mhm.
doing. Tony, do you want to share some of yours? We welcome y'all to share
Yeah.
too.
Um, yeah, my imaginary lives was really fun. I put fashion designer, um, and I feel like in this last year, I've been more, I guess, shameless of embracing my love for fashion. So I share more about like my outfits of the day, the swaps I go to. But I do want to get into that in a different week. Traveler, because I've always loved to travel,
Hmm.
grew up traveling, and my first major in undergrad is global cultures, which essentially was I studied abroad to just learn different cultures. So I really enjoyed that. Book reviewer, which through Soultry,
Mhm.
I kinda get to experience that, but I literally told, a higher up at work, like, last year, they're like, "Oh, what do you dream of doing?" And I was like, "Reviewing books for fun," like, getting paid to just read books. An herbalist, which I kinda sorta do, but, like, to really just be like, "That's my thing," that would be cool. Pole dancer, I've wanted to pole dance since I was, like, 18, I feel like, but here I am now. And then the one I just thought of was like own a French bakery. Like I used to be obsessed with
Ooh, yes,
Paris,
you're
France, and like little desserts. And I used to bake a lot. And then in Chicago, when me, my mom, my sister went, we went to a French bakery that was named Tony Lynn. It was like really random. And so ever since then, I've always been like, this is my little bakery.
yes,
Yeah.
I love that. We have some similar ones.
Mhm.
Um, I put a sewist,
Mhm.
so maybe we can link up. You can design, I can sew for
Mhm.
you.
Exactly.
Um, I put a cabaret singer,
Mm.
like in a dark club, laying on a
Mm.
piano.
Okay.
Jazz singer. Yeah, like I want to just be like, I'm there every Wednesday. You know, I'm just oh yeah, like that's I was like in an imaginary life. I'm a jazz singer who sings in a dark, smoky bar, laying on the piano. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to lay on a piano, but I would be laying on a piano. Um, then I put interior designer
Nice.
because I love that HGTV show where you're like designing
Mhm.
homes, but also like growing up played Sims, and the mostly I did playing the Sims was design homes. Like I like
Mhm.
playing the people too, but I love designing a home. And then I put a physical therapist. I know that's like not an
Okay.
artsy job, but like I really enjoy like I'm a Pilates practitioner and I love like when people have a problem with their body and I have to help them fix it. Like I love like doing that, like that problem solving with body stuff. Like body, I guess body worker.
Mhm.
I kind of feel like I do that, but this is very specific, like clinical. Like I just love that, and I think I love this blazer. I just want to be like Dr. Junius.
Her
Tell me
corporate
what's
core.
wrong. Corporate core. I also said musician, specifically a drummer.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just I
Not
can
your
see
cajon?
myself. Yeah, that too. Drummer. I mean, all the drums, percuss, everything, body percussion, all of it. And then the last thing that's similar to you is uh, it's similar to a journalist, a
Mm.
journalist. Um, but like a broadcast journalist. I've always wanted to tell help people tell their stories through journalism, but also go out into the world and explore people, like explore different worlds. So that's the last thing. I mean, when I was in college, I lived in the broadcast journalism house at UC Irvine, but I was told you can't be a dance major and a journalism major. I even at UCI tried to be a double dance and music, and the music professor was like, "No, you can't be a music major and a dance major." So a lot of these things are just because I like to dibble dabble.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
definitely. There was another one that just came to mind too with you sharing. You said journalist, then you said
cabaret singer,
no,
interior
the last
designer,
one, the last what were we talking about?
physical therapist.
No, your last one.
Oh, journalist.
No, you said something after that. You're talking about broadcast. I forgot now.
Oh, musician, music major.
It's fine.
Okay, it's not coming up. Okay. Let's see, imaginary lives. We got Caitlin sharing sculptor, wedding
Mhm.
photographer, restaurant owner, jewelry maker, skincare brand owner. Ooh, I
Love that.
love. Yes. I do see this for you though. I do see where that comes out.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. Kenny, I'd be a lawyer, a lifestyle photographer, run a coffee shop, plus dispensary speakeasy. Ooh,
Ooh, I like that. Okay,
yes,
okay, okay,
yes, I
okay.
love that.
Because
Tell me,
because at the dispensary speakeasy, you could have your cabaret show. Okay.
can I work at the cabaret? Ba-da-da-da, za-da-za-za-da-zoo. Paulina, actress, musician, astronaut, rancher, YouTube vlogger. Yes.
Okay,
Ooh, I
okay,
see.
okay.
I see. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I feel
I
you're lifting
love.
some of them a little bit. Some
Yeah, some of them
those.
you're tapping on it.
Yeah.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Ooh, Kiara, Beyonce background dancer.
Okay.
Uh-uh. Jazz singer too. Let's duet. Da-ba-da-da-da. And she'd be like, violinist. Okay, Lindsay Sterlinger, when she dances and plays, I
Right.
was like, yes,
Mhm.
filmmaker, architect, women's health advocate, a few that come to mind. Yes, let's keep on
Nice.
dreaming. I love all these.
I also thought of backup dancer recently too,
Backup
because I've been
dancer,
like looking
yes.
at these backup dancers Instagram accounts, and I was like, that just seems fun.
Oh, yes.
Especially when I went to the Janelle Monae concert, I was like,
Yeah.
it would be fun to be on stage and
And then
dancing with
we
her.
got we got Kenny sharing. Ooh, professional golfer.
Nice. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Okay, we got Geneva, DJ, burlesque dancer. Oh, I love
Okay,
that.
we need this
I love that
speakeasy
little
to come to life
tease.
so we can
We need
have
this
all of
speak
this.
easy so we can all be at this speak easy. Own a thrift store. Oh, slash animal
Okay.
shelter. Ooh, I like how it's connected. Yeah, because one feeds the
Okay.
other. Gardener, lawyer.
Okay.
Ooh. But it's crazy because I can see the reflection in everything I do now. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. Some of y'all that I know personally, I can see how your imaginary lives, jobs are reflected in the things that you already do now. Isn't that
Oh,
wild?
I remember the other thing I was gonna say. It was because it was not really related. I also like, another thing I would wanna be is a traveling art critic. So if I could just
Ooh,
go
yes.
around and people pay me to fly out and go to different exhibits and galleries around the world and share my opinion because I'm very opinionated. Okay, so I would just love to do things that I can share my opinion
She's very
on.
opinionated, y'all. If you want an
And I be
opinion.
following different like exhibits and things. I just right now don't have the means to like fly everywhere to go to them. But so yeah, I'm like, oh, in a different life, I would just be able to be like, oh, I'm going over to
Hmm.
the UK to go on my little art tour, and then I'm going over here.
Definitely, definitely. Oh, I love this, y'all. This has been so much fun. I hope this conversation has been revealing, healing, inspiring. As we close out our conversation, drop one word in the comments of how you're feeling, what sums up your experience with week one, this conversation. Let us know. What is your one word to wrap up week one's um, recovering a sense of safety?
And I put in the chat again the link to join our book club's app. So if you're not in it already, it gives you alerts when we're going live so you never miss out. We also can post, your artist date photos there, your morning page photos there. And if you want, you can also tag us at Soultry Sisters on all social media with your updates on how every week is going, and then we'll repost you.
Yes.
And again, this Saturday is our celebration. So don't
Celebrate.
miss. Join us live at YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram to celebrate 5 years of living vibrant and shining bright. And we love all types of gifts. So if you want to gift us with your presence, if you want to gift us with a review on Google, if you want to gift us some cash money because you're feeling abundant, okay, we accept it all. So go to our website, our support page, and show us all the love there because Soultry's been doing this for 5 years, y'all, and we
Yes.
appreciate all of your support. And it doesn't go unnoticed. Like all of y'all staying on for this long on our lives.
Yes, we love, yeah, and we love this growing community. So whether you've been with us from year one and you're just jumping on today, we appreciate it. Let's see these words. Bianca is sharing optimistic. I love that. Then Geneva shares connective.
Mm.
Mm, those are some good words. Optimistic,
Then
connective.
Kira feels seen. Love the conversation.
Mm,
So yeah, thank you all for joining us. It's been great chatting and reviewing. So your homework is week two of the challenge is next week. So we'll review same kind of format. We'll start off with reviewing how the week went for us, and then we'll go into some quotes that resonated for us, and then review some tasks. So we'll see you all on Saturday because you're gonna celebrate with us.
Yes. All right. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.